landed on planet 412. I'll be your captain of sorts as we navigate this strange, cryptid-filled world. Join me on the quest for truth, through the strange, mysterious, and supernatural. This is Planet 412. And welcome to Planet 412. I am Matt Amsch, obviously, and I am super excited tonight because I get to interview one of my very best friends in the world. And Ry Voss has an amazing, great channel, Codega's Codex of Curiosities. I know a lot of you who watch Planet 412 know exactly who Ry is. He's been in a ton of videos here with me, and you visited his channel. We've done live streams together, but there's another side to Ry Voss. He's had a lot of high strangeness occur in his life as well. And what we're going to do tonight is we're obviously going to introduce Ry. We're going to bring him in and have him discuss with us all what has happened with him, the high strangeness over the years, some things that have happened recently that he's shared with me that I can't wait for him to go over. It's really going to blow your mind because it's still got mine exploding. So without further ado, we're going to bring Ry right into the 412. Hey, brother.
Hey, Matt. Hey,
Thank
buddy.
you so
Thank you
much
for
for
having me.
coming
Oh,
on.
geez. we're talking over each other here, but yeah. So thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate this.
It's an honor. I mean, you and I have known each other for a long time now. I can remember when I first did, your show. It's, my God, how many years?
I would say we're about a year and a half. It's about a year and a half.
Yeah, so I thought it was really close as we're getting almost to,
Yeah.
but it went so fast, but I have been, really paying attention to the things that you've been discussing when we do live streams and when we just, throw it around and just talk on the phone or, when we're talking about, like equipment, like we just were a
Yeah.
little bit ago. And, I have been putting that stuff in the file cabinet, so to speak. And, I really want to let the people out there in YouTube world and specifically Planet 412 to let everybody get a different side of Ry Voss and to be able to not only know, just who you are, the regular guy, but obviously if you're here for this tonight, the high strangeness, the things that have been going on over the years that really get people thinking and saying, whoa, that is crazy. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could just kind of do the boring, hi, I'm Ry, I'd appreciate it.
Of course, of course. So everyone, hey, I'm Ry. I'm the host of Codega's Codex of Curiosities, and I'm on audio and video everywhere you guys want to see me. That's where I'm at. So that is what I do. That is who I am, and I've been hosting the show now for just over a year. I had a show of my own for a year as well. Prior to that, well, about not a year, about 9 months, and I co-hosted that one, and then I transferred into being the solo host of this show. So that is me. Now, myself, I'm living in Mexico with my family, and I really enjoy it down here. I things that I do. Well, like I said, I host a show. I also am a tutor, an English tutor, and I raise bees. So I'm a beekeeper, and that is about it for me. Yeah. So so Matt, do you want to know a little bit about what my experiences are? Do we want to go into that?
Yeah, we can absolutely jump into it. So, obviously, again, with me and you talking about the things that have happened,
Mhm.
going back to as young as you can, when
Yep.
is the first time something strange happened with you?
All right, so let's get into it. So the first time that something actually happened to me that was strange, that I recognized as this isn't normal, was around the age of 9 years old, which is the age of my daughter right now. I was in grade 4, and in Canada we had this thing called uh, like this Canadian fitness and Canadian fitness challenge. And what it was is you could receive these badges like a bronze, silver, gold, or excellence if you completed all these tasks within their set amount of time or the amount of things that you could do. And one of them was this race to run this distance within a certain amount of time. I think it was like 400 meters within X amount of time. And I was pretty athletic. And I was running with a group of other kids that were slightly in front of me. And being kind of competitive, I was like, well, I can't let that happen. And we're getting close right to the finish line. And I'm like, I need to push myself because I want that excellence badge and I want to be up with this other group. They weren't too far in front of me, maybe like 10 feet at most in front of me. And so I pushed myself beyond the limits that I was ever used to. And as soon as I did that, I shot out of my body. So I shot my, I don't know, my astral body. I shot out of my physical body, and I was about 10 feet to 15 feet. No, sorry, I was about 15 to 20 feet in the air, looking down at the kids in front of me running, and I'm watching them from the air. I'm watching everybody run. And that's when I noticed myself. And when I did notice myself, it was this realization that I'm not where I should be, and it was just this instant poof, backing into my body, cross the finish line. And at that point, then I went and decided that I needed to tell people what just happened because this is crazy. And, when you start talking, 9-year-olds are talking, no one's going to believe you. They think you're crazy. They think you're weird. And so at that point, when I started telling people, I was like, this just happened. And that was like, no, it didn't. You're weird. That's strange. You're lying. I'm like, okay, so why would I lie about that? A 9-year-old kid who just had this crazy experience of seeing this all happening. So that was the first real strange experience that happened to me that I remember.
That's wild. And, there are, and you and I have talked about this on live streams before, and just again, us chatting, something I've looked into a lot lately is family trees. And there's a lot of people that are in research that know a lot more than you and I,
Yeah.
and, into the paranormal world that know about when that veil's lifted. And they talk about the families out there who have a lot going on and has been going on in the certain families. And, there's been a lot more going on TV and
Hmm.
on YouTube and other things where they're saying, thankfully, because of technology, people
Yep.
are learning that there is a thing for the family trees. And obviously, you have had a lot going on in yours. So, obviously, before we move on to
Yep.
the next thing that's happening to you, do you know of anything that's happened in your family?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Could
yes.
you discuss a little bit about that before we
Yeah,
move
so
on?
one I don't I know a little bit of this one, but this was it's called the Miracles of Lourdes, okay? So Lourdes was this location where it's like, like Maria de Guadalupe, or they have like the Holy Virgin, the Mary, right? So this was like Mary of Lourdes, okay, which is a place I believe in Belgium. Don't quote me on that one, okay? We had a great great uncle, and I'm trying to remember the year. I don't recall the specific year. I'm going to look this up right now as I'm talking to you. Now, he was born, and this was okay. Here we go. So this was in between 18. He was born from 1822 to 1898, and this was a family member of ours, and his name was Peter de Rudder. Okay, now Peter suffered a severe accident where a tree crushed his legs. Okay, to the point that the bones were broken so badly he became a crippled. And allegedly, which I don't know how this is possible, but allegedly one of the bones had protruded his leg and was never fully healed. Okay, so this went on for years. He has there's medical diagnoses of this. The doctors said, yes, this has happened. He went to do a pilgrimage to Lourdes. And what happened, he was miraculously healed, like instantaneously healed. His legs were healed. When he did die, they actually bronzed his legs and put them on display at the Lourdes. And it's called one of the miracles of Lourdes. So
Wow.
this is one of my family members. Now that's on my mom's side. So I don't want to go too far into last names, genealogy, and whatnot,
Right.
but that is on my mother's side. Now my mother's grandma, my great great grandma, also actually saw Mary, the Virgin Mary. She appeared to her, and so that's interesting. Now, my dad's side, they had like a great great grandma who was a shamanic healer of animals. So she was,
That's where you get it from.
yeah. There's a little bit of everything from these both sides. Like it's kind of like this wonder on this side of the religious side, and then there's this other side of these other arts. These new, I don't, not new age, but these like kind of like much older forms of magic of sorts.
Okay,
So
I just want to make sure you were done talking.
yeah.
Anybody that is not aware of this, and I'm sure a lot of people don't know, Rye is really good at, figuring out natural ways to treat yourself and other people. He has, no, you do. You've given me ideas about, how not to take the traditional, go to the pharmacy and get Tylenol or whatever, try and be more natural, treat your body better. And you're really good at the natural, or what I say sometimes, the au natural way. But
The
it's
OG, the OG.
yes,
Yes.
and a lot of people are going back to that way these
Yeah.
days. And now I know where you got that kind of part from. So that's really awesome. Now,
Yeah.
obviously moving back on to the next experience with you, when is the
Mm.
one that you can remember happening next?
Okay, so I did have like numerous other small instances, and most of those occurred. Well, I would say like the one house that we lived in, I was very terrified in that house. That house had a lot of I always had this terror. Okay, I was there was and I believe it because I believe I had this because I was very sensitive. And we moved into this other house, and at this other house, that's where things kind of ramped up. Even my family all had experiences in this house, and we built this house, so it wasn't that it was the house per se. I think there was something attached to the land, but I also believe it was us because I believe we are a family of sensitives. Now, one of the small things that happened in this house is I remember walking up the stairs, and I had a set of binoculars hanging from my window because we lived in the country, and I used to always like looking out onto the fields because there's coyotes and foxes and trying to see them. And as I was walking up, my binoculars were just swinging back and forth wildly, and I was like, what the heck? Because I could see it as I was walking up the stairs. I could see the binoculars, but I kind of had to turn a corner and then come into my bedroom. So I kind of lost sight of them. When I walked in, they're just sitting still. So that's just something small that really, it kind of sets the stage a little bit. Now, the next incident, I was probably in around, I'm going to assume around grade 8 or grade 9. And one of my chores that I had to do is we lived on I would call it a small farm, or a hobby farm. We had horses and other animals and big garden and everything like that. One of my chores was in the evenings, I had to feed the horses. That was my responsibility. So it was about 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and at that time it was not winter yet, but pretty close. So the sun was already set, and it was dark outside. And I was working upstairs in this dormer where we had a computer, and we only had the one computer from that time, and it was always in one spot. So that's where it was. The rest of my family was downstairs watching some sort of uh, game, not game show. They were watching some sort of like um, award show, sorry, like the Oscars or the Grammys or something like that. And I really didn't care about that, but I was upstairs on the computer typing in my journal because I like to keep a journal, which was like my private thoughts and everything. And my dad called up to me. He's like, Ryan, did you feed the horses yet? No, I didn't. So dad's like, you got to go feed them. I'm like, okay. So I make my way out, and the reason why I said it's dark outside and the light was on inside, because when it's dark outside and there's a light inside a house, you can see clearly. You can see clear as
Mhm.
day. It's very easy. So I went out into the front driveway, and I look up, and when I look up, I can see the computer desk. Just the like I can barely see the computer. I can see the big computer monitor. And sitting at the computer was my grandma. Okay? My grandma's not dead. My grandma's not there though. My grandma doesn't live with us. But there is something that is sitting at the computer, and like I could see from the shoulders up, okay? And so her hair is unmistakable. It's this gray tight curls kind of thing, kind of short hair, and it's my grandma. And I'm trying to make sense of this standing outside looking up, but I'm also like, when you see this, of course you're trying to make sense of it. So it's like, well, it can't be my grandma. It's got to be my mom or my sisters. So I run down, feed the horses, come back. There's no one there. I go because I'm looking as I'm coming back, and I go into the house and I'm mad because my journal was open on the computer and anybody could see what I was writing. So I go into the room, the living room where I was sitting and watching TV, and I was like, "Oh, who was upstairs? Someone's upstairs." And they're like, "No, we've all been sitting here watching TV." And like, No, 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 someone is upstairs." My one sister said, "Well, I went to the bathroom, which is just on the main floor. It's not upstairs." And they're like, "But other than that, we've all been here." And so at that point, I didn't know what to make of it. You don't know why. I don't know why I saw that. And it's a doppelganger. It's someone or something copied my grandma, sat there, and you know I got to see it.
Wow. That is, I mean, the honest to God, the hairs on my neck are standing straight up. I mean, nothing was said at all.
No, no,
Did she look right at you or
no, staring
nothing?
at the computer, just focused on the computer. So I could
No.
see, I could see the side of the face, I could see the hair and the side of the face because the computer was this way, and I was looking in from the side this way.
So no, like, did you immediately you knew that wasn't her though?
Well, it's my grandma, but it can't be because she's not here, right? And it's so
So how did
crazy
you know
because
she wasn't there?
she doesn't live with us.
Okay,
So
so how far does she live from you?
like if we're talking miles, maybe like 25, 30 miles
Oh,
away.
wow. So, yeah, definitely not a
Mhm.
chance that she was there.
No, and, like, we live out in the country, they live out in the country much further. Yeah.
Okay. So you would have known 100% for sure, "Hey, grandma's here tonight," and
Yeah, like, they would have pulled up, we would have seen their vehicle or anything like that, so they were not there, it was just me and
she
my
wouldn't
grandma.
have been alone, like, you just
Yeah,
made a point.
my grandpa would have been there and stuff like that, and she wouldn't be upstairs in my because the computer was in my parents' bedroom, it wasn't, like, in a common area, it was my
That
parents'
is
bedroom.
odd.
Yeah.
Did she ever use the
Oh,
computer?
no. She had no
Okay,
idea.
so
No idea.
very odd. Do
Yeah.
you think maybe whatever of course, again, doppelganger is definitely a great choice,
Mhm.
but do you think whatever entity this was, skinwalker, whatever, um, did you ever give thought to why it was there, that maybe it was there for you or someone else in the house?
I've never fully thought about that. I do know that, um, like my mom saw something standing in that dormer as well. A
So
couple
she
of
didn't
years.
see her mom? She
No,
saw
no, she
something
saw
else.
something else. My father and I had gone to I had an early hockey game. We had left at like 5 in the morning, and my mom was still sleeping in the bed, and she saw someone standing in this dormer where that was because the computer was no longer there anymore at this point. She saw someone standing there and she thought it was my dad. And then this thing or person or whatever came over to my dad's side of the bed, sat down. She could feel the bed depress and then lay down and then roll over on top of her.
But so what did she see?
She like so when you just wake up, and you're you're kind of like, you're not fully opening your eyes. So
Right.
she saw a person and she just assumed, again,
It
because
was your dad.
my dad, yeah. Oh, they haven't left yet because there was no blinds on that window. My parents' bedroom was always really bright. I hated that, but
Yeah.
there was no blinds, so there was someone standing there because it was early in the morning and it was bright, and there was someone standing there, and they came
Right.
over. Yeah, and she had another experience in this bedroom as well, where she saw a watery figure in a uniform, standing kind of closer to my dad's side of the bed as well, and
While
then
he
just
was in the bed, she saw
while he
your
was in
dad.
the bed at that time, yeah.
Okay, wait, real quick. Go
But
back
let's
to when it rolled over on her. She felt the weight. What did she do when it was on top of her?
I I don't remember, and unfortunately, my mom she's kind of not all there now, so
Oh,
it's
I'm very
sh
sorry.
that's alright, but I wouldn't be able to ask her. So
I got you.
that what I do know is that's what
Was she
happened.
scared at least? Did she at least give you
Yes.
that idea?
Oh,
Okay.
yes, yes, yeah,
Did she
because
tell you
she's
what occurred next? Like, did it just
gone.
it was just gone?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it was just gone.
Now, when you say this next time she saw something, it was like it looked watery, like it was
Yeah,
that's freaky. What
yeah.
occurred then?
So all she told me was that she had seen this figure standing, because the bed is like this and it would be off to the left. My dad slept on the left side, and it was kind of like they had two stairs that came down into this area where their bedroom kind of was. They kind of had like the entrance, and it was a bathroom, and you walk into the bathroom area, and then it kind of like it wasn't separate from the room almost, but then you had two stairs that went down, and then there was that's where the bed was almost,
Mhm.
and it was kind of standing. I think it was just at the bottom of those two stairs, and she said it was dressed in a uniform. She said I think it could have been a police or a mailman kind of thing, but it was a uniform and it looked watery, is what she had said.
Oof. That
Yeah.
sounds really freaky.
Yeah, and yeah, so and things ramp up in this house. So
How I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no,
How
no.
long was it there?
I believe she said only a couple of seconds, but
So and
again,
your dad was asleep, he didn't see
yeah,
it.
my dad
Oh,
was asleep. He didn't see him. Yeah.
okay. Wow, please move
So
on.
this is where, unfortunately, we did something bad, and I I I know now, and I'm sure everybody who's older knows that this is not something to do, but it's open to kids, which is a Ouija board.
I knew
Okay.
you were going there.
Yeah, you go to freaking Toys R Us and they have stacks of them selling to
Mhm.
kids.
Yeah.
Ridiculous, okay? And, so
I
my
think
parents.
that's on purpose.
Oh, of
I'm
course it
sorry.
is. No, no, no problem. Yeah, I definitely think it's on purpose. So my my parents had went away for a 2-week vacation. So what do? We have friends overs and parties and stuff like that, but we also go and get a Ouija board. Yeah, that's just a great idea. And so we start playing with this Ouija board. And there was my sisters had some incidences. I won't get into those, but I played with it. I played with it with some friends. I remember I was terrified of any type of horror. Or scary movies and stuff like that. But I did remember watching one called Witchboard,
Uh-huh.
and one of the things with that one that I learned is you never do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one thing I didn't do. I never did it by myself because I was maybe that was the a plus to it. But one thing to know, and why do I say that Ouija boards are terrible, is because it is and this is gonna sound crazy, but it's true. It is a slight form of possession. Your hands are on the planchette, and your hands are being possessed to move this planchette. It's not the planchette necessarily that's moving; it's your hands. And
Mhm.
these things on the other side claim to be your grandma, claim to be your friend, claim to be a lost loved one. How do you know? I don't know. Of course, they're gonna know a lot of stuff because they're on the other side. They're able to,
Mhm.
who knows what type of abilities, psychic abilities they have. They can read your mind and be like, "Oh, I know the grandma looked like this and called you this," and that's what they'll say. So after this Ouija board, and the Ouija board eventually disappeared. I don't know where it went. I'm pretty sure someone got rid of it. I don't know how, but it went out of the house. But damage done. And when I say that I started becoming I was always afraid in this house as well. But I started becoming more and more afraid. Now, I would when I was talking afraid that I would if I was left home alone, when I was like 13, 12 years old or something like that, I would hide in my bedroom, would not leave my bedroom, and I would bring all my dogs, like all the animals that I could bring into the house, into my bedroom because that's how I kind of felt safe that way.
You had feelings of dread.
I Extreme. It wasn't like slight dread, it was extreme. I would it would take me maybe like 20 minutes to work up the courage, or half an hour to work up the courage to go downstairs to the kitchen on the main floor to go get something to eat. And, it was like, okay, okay, because there's something just out the door. There's something just out the door. That's waiting for me. It's waiting for me. And is that an overactive imagination? It might be, but with everything happening in this house, I think that the things that feed on fear really love that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now,
and
can I
yeah,
ask
go
you
ahead.
one more question?
Of course.
These were your dogs, so
Yeah.
were they reacting to something?
No, no.
Okay.
They
Well, they're
they
usually great alarms.
yeah, they were, and it would be cats as well. I just bring them in the house, and I just needed them. They were my security is what it
Mhm.
was. So, and to be honest, if they did react to something, I wasn't paying attention to that.
Right.
You know, I was I
How
just
old were
wasn't.
you again at this time?
At that time, I was probably it was probably from the ages because my parents would leave me alone, probably like 12, 13 years old to even when I was a young or an older teenager, almost a young adult, terrified of being in that house. Okay. And I do have an incident that I will talk about. I don't talk about it often because there's not really any substantiating evidence to go with it. It's just a feeling.
Okay.
But when you take into my age account, into my age and what was happening, it plays a little bit into this. So the next incident that occurred at this house that was my biggest incident that I've pretty much ever had until recently. I was about anywhere I was between the ages of 17 and 19, and I don't know because I wasn't documenting this stuff down at that time. I did have a job at that time, so I was working, and I started working when I was 17 years old, and I was over at my friend's house. We had rented a PlayStation because at that time you could go to like Blockbuster and rent PlayStations and then take them back and play them at your. So we played them at my friend's house, and I remember doing that. And my friends drove me there, so they had to drive me home. And so they drove me back home, and I remember that night the Northern Lights or Aurora Borealis were out in full force, and I stood outside watching them, thinking, like it's just beautiful. It's awe inspiring. It's
They
just
are.
breathtaking. So it was great, and I was like, okay, well, I have to be up really early in the morning because I have to work the next day. So, and so this was on a weekend. It was either a Friday or a Saturday night, and so I get into bed and I can't sleep. Maybe because it was the video game, so much going on in your mind, I can't sleep, and I'm just like doing the clock watching, where I keep watching the clock, and I'm like, okay, if I fall asleep now, I'll have 7 hours and 32 minutes of sleep, and then you close your eyes and. Okay, you open back up and look at okay, 7 hours and 15 minutes of sleep. And I kept doing this. Okay. So I'm watching this clock and I can't fall asleep, can't fall asleep. So I'm laying down, I'm laying there, and I get this not necessarily a message, not like someone telling me, not like an outside voice telling me, but I get this feeling like you need to look up. You need to look up. And so I roll onto my back and I look up, and floating above me, about 3.5 feet above me, is this darker, blacker than black figure. Okay. And it's it's and I have like everything closed. It's dark in my room, but this is blacker than black, and I can see the head. I can see the head outline, and then I can see the shoulders, and then you can go down to where the arms are and around the waist. Now, when it hit the waist, it trailed off into like this white vapor. Okay, so it was like this white smoky kind of material. Like so, there was no legs. I didn't see any legs. It was this white smoky material, kind of like Hollywood esque kind of thing, and so that onto itself is terrifying, but we go to the eyes, okay? And you know this. So, incandescent glowing eyes. You've seen it. These ones were red, okay? So these were red glowing incandescent eyes. And I'll explain to people because again, it's not like flashlights are shooting lights out. It's the eyes are glowing themselves like I don't know, like just this red glow. Now, people have told me, they're like, "Oh, Rye, that's you have sleep paralysis." I'm like, "No, I was awake because I rolled over onto my back, but I could not move." And we're like, well, you couldn't move. That's sleep paralysis. Like, no, no, no. Taken to this. So when people are scared, you have that rush of adrenaline. You either have fight, flight, or freeze. For me, it was freeze. I just couldn't move. I was stuck in that spot. And I don't know how, yes, you know that. I don't know how much time passed. Okay. It could have been 10 minutes, but in reality, I think it was only like 3 or 4 seconds and it was gone. It was gone. But I was there and I did not move. I could not move. I laid there. I laid there and I didn't move. I don't know how long I laid there for. And I remember my arms by my side. I'm just seeing myself laying there again with my arms by my side, not moving. And and then the next thing I know, I wake up and it's in the morning. That's a story. And what do I do? I can't tell anybody this. You know, I you had friends there to corroborate you and to like to talk about this. I had no one, and I'm like, I'm not telling my parents this. And eventually, years and years later, I started to talk about this. And that's when I talked to other people, some people who've had the same experience. Blake from Mountain Man Exploring the Truth, he had a similar experience where he saw the same type of entity, a shadow being with red glowing eyes. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not nuts. I
No hat.
no hat was no hat. Yeah. Was
No,
not
there's
a
a lot of shadow beings that have no hat with the red
yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
Oh, that is horrifying.
So that is that story
Oh my god.
that pushed me into a direction of well, I didn't say it really pushed me any direction at that point other than I'm terrified. There is something here and I'm terrified. Now, I'm going to tell you this other story. I don't really tell many people this one because like I said, there's no real evidence to it. I was This was a couple of years later. I was about 19 and I had come home from work. I worked the late shift. It was like 11 o'clock or something, or might have been a little bit later. And I got home and I ended up getting violently sick for no reason. I was fine. And next thing I know, I am like really sick. So I just go into the bathroom and I start throwing up. And while this is happening, I am overcome with such fear and dread that I cannot move from the position I'm in. I cannot leave this bathroom. I'm a 19-year-old young man who is can't leave the bathroom. I'm still living with my parents, okay? And I stayed there for hours. Okay. I don't know what time in the morning it was. It was like early hours in the morning. Might have been like 2 and could have been even 3, but I don't think it
You're an
was 3.
adult at this time
Yeah,
too.
I'm an adult and I am not moving. I am getting images in my mind of this creature standing just outside of the bathroom, okay? Kind of like a Nosferatu type of
Oh my god.
vampire. And this is why I don't tell many people about this because this is just like this image is being put into my mind that it's just waiting out there. And I'm like, I didn't see it. Okay. So I a lot of times I prefer people tell me the stories of things they saw, but this was so intense and so much that it tied into everything. I could not leave the bathroom. And I knew it was me, it was projecting onto me. And so I started screaming for my mom. Okay. And I like 19-year-old boy
Right.
screaming for his mom like I'm a 10-year-old little boy. Okay. Finally, my mom came, turned on all the lights and she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I'm not feeling well." I just left it at that. I'm not feeling well. And she's like, "Okay." And so she kind of walked me out of the bathroom, walked me to my bedroom. And then it was just like in bedroom, covered up, and I fell asleep. But I didn't fall asleep right away. I was terrified, right? And then I was just like, again, waking up in the morning, terrified. This house had something, or we had something going on with this house or this location.
Now, I know you didn't. I know you said you didn't want to discuss your sisters, but is there any way I could get you to just at least mention a little bit about what happened with her?
Okay. Well, my one sister, my older sister doesn't really talk about much, but my one sister, like my older sister had some experiences at the house, but my one sister had zero.
Okay.
Okay. She had zero experiences, but this stems back from something much earlier. So what had happened was She used to when she was younger, she used to call herself the Queen of Lights because she saw lights all the time flying around and flying around her.
Okay.
Okay. Till one point where she became very afraid and she shut it off somehow. She like swore that she never wanted this to happen again and turned it off.
She saw orbs.
Yeah. Yeah. She saw orbs.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
In this house.
In this house and prior to that house too. Prior to that house as
That's
well.
extremely interesting, and she shut it off?
Yes. Was able
How
to turn it
old
off.
was she?
I would say from what I think she might have been maybe 12 years old when she turned that
And
off.
again, I have to bring this up. You and I have talked about this with Christopher Garetano and a number of other friends of mine, Josh Ninocchio, and 12 to 14, that age range. There is something about that age range, 14 with me and my buddies,
Mhm.
you in that range. There is something, and everybody I spoke to about this as well said the exact same thing. There is, for whatever reason, when Christopher Garetano had his paranormal experience, he was 14 when one happened to him. Another friend of mine had something, and there's just something there at 14 and like 12, 13. There's got to be something, I think, with the
Oh,
brain.
no. So think about that age. That's puberty. That's
Yeah.
puberty.
Oh, there you go. Very
Mhm.
good. Thank you.
It's it is kind of a lot of people going through
In
puberty,
between.
especially yes, especially girls who going through puberty, a lot of times create poltergeists. This is something I've looked into, okay? Because
Okay.
and they're not even doing it intentionally. They're just so much built up emotion, and it escapes. Now, poltergeists aren't a demon, but they can become one. Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's this person pushing this out, and they're creating these things to happen. They're creating these phenomena to happen around them. So much so that eventually it does break away. It will at one point, if it's not controlled, break away and become its own entity. And then you need to do an exorcism and get that poltergeist out.
That is wild. A good point. I'm glad you brought that up. You're so right. And like I said, it's an in between of leaving childhood, right, but not quite an adult. You're kind of in that middle ground, and a lot of stuff happening there. A lot of chemicals changing things in your brain, and wow, man, and that veil is so much thinner. Absolutely it is, because a lot of stuff happens to those in that age. um, your other sister, what
Yeah.
occurred with her?
She really hasn't told me much of anything that has occurred with her. I've never really asked her, but my both my sisters have. They're I would say they are connected somehow, but I don't really have a good relationship with my
Oh,
sisters that
okay.
much anymore. And
Alright.
it's not anything bad like that. We just don't talk much anymore.
Okay. Fair enough. Alright. Well, definitely, brother, you are in that group of, the family tree, something going on in your house as well. Going back to you, getting older, you've had some really crazy stuff. What was the next?
What was the next? That's a great question because there has been a ton of stuff that has happened. You know what? I'm going to tell you a little bit, a little story that. So, one thing that happened because of all this, I started seeking out answers or
Mm,
seeking out a way so that I wouldn't be afraid or that I could fight back. And one of those ways was going into the new age stuff. Okay, so it's like I need to learn more about this, and I kind of quote Hellboy when it's like not Hellboy himself, but I forget it was the other character. It's like, the things that go bump in the night, we bump back. Okay. So it was kind of like, yeah, I'm tired of those things.
that's such a great movie for us, by the way.
Yes. And so I'm tired of those things bumping in the night, making me afraid and me not being able to do anything
I
about it.
believe it was Abe, the
Correct.
fish guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. That is
yeah,
exactly who it is. See, I knew the character, but I didn't know his name. But yes, that
yeah.
is
Creature
exactly it.
from the Black Lagoon, basically.
Yeah. So what I did is I went down this path And this path took me to, learning Reiki, becoming a Reiki master. And then it, in that course, it took me to meet a shaman. Her name was Little Flower. And she's like, "I think I'm supposed to be teaching you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think you are too." So she's like, "Okay, then I will teach you." So for a year, she was my shaman and taught me the ways of the being a shamanic practitioner. So that was for about a year, and I kind of learned how to see things more clearly and be able to understand things a little bit better. And then from there, I met a medicine woman, who is still dear to me to this day, and she's pretty much like my second mother. And I I started going to her sweat lodges and helping her with her medicine, and contributing to the sweat lodges as well, where I became I don't say integral part, became a very big part of the sweat lodges, where I became the firekeeper. And I assist her with rebuilding the lodge as well. And it was through this knowledge that I believe that I was able to, okay, stop being afraid and start protecting myself, start being proactive and protecting myself. And also through this journey as well, I ended up finding my way out of the new age, because I think new age is, and sorry if I'm going to hurt anybody's feelings here, but new age to me is a bit of a quagmire. I think it's necessary to some, but I think you don't get stuck in there. I think you need to move on from it, because a lot of people get stuck in it. I think it's part of the journey. It's not the end journey. I think you got to, this is a stop for now. Okay, then we're going to move on. But a lot of people get stuck there, and what they get stuck with is all this light and love. Don't get me wrong, that's
I
great,
agree with you.
but there's a balance. You got to know that, yes, there's light and love, but there's also the dark. We can't be like, oh no, don't look at that. We have to deal with our own shit first. We have to deal with we have to look inside and deal with that. And many people would rather take any type of external drama, external breakdown, external disaster, instead of looking into themselves and actually start to deal with their stuff. Yeah.
That's excellent. Well
Yeah.
said.
Thank you, man. Yeah, so it's kind of like it started to bring me back to Jesus and to God, and I won't say necessarily organized religion. I'm getting back to some organized religion, but I'm approaching it differently now, being a lot more theological about it all. Going through the Bible and seeing the Bible as a history book, not just a religious book, but as a history book, and learning from it. Now, enough talking about that. But what in the end, it was, this journey was to start to learn these things. And now, when I was in the sweat lodge this one time, I had one of, and this is going to sound strange, but you can see things, you can see orbs, you can see lights in the sweat lodge. Okay. And I had a spirit come to me and present a symbol to me. Okay. And I was like, what is this? So I drew the symbol on the dirt. There's 4 rounds, and after there's 4 songs within a round, and there's 4 rounds. After one of the rounds, I drew this in the dirt, and I asked the medicine woman if knows what this is, and she said no. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. And so I wrote it down in a book, and then I went to a bookstore, and I grabbed this book. I was just serendipitously grabbed this book, and it was like, oh, it was a book about symbols and signs and whatnot. So I opened it up, and I just kind of leafed through it, and like it's a book that's like 600, 700 pages, and I just opened it up randomly to this page, and there's the symbol. There
No
is this.
way.
There is this symbol, and
What
I
did
said,
she say?
well, she wasn't there, it was just me,
Oh,
right? It
okay.
was just me, and I was just like, "Holy crap," okay? And the symbol is called the indalo, okay? It's a Spanish prehistoric symbol of a go-to person between heaven and earth, this world and that world. And this is something I just learned recently as well, because there is a famous person in the Bible who was considered that as well. Now, I was like, "Okay, this is 2 times that I've seen this symbol." I went to a river. I have this one spot, the special spot that I used to go to on this river, and it was kind of secluded. It was just me. And I was there, and kind of like the message that I got to, kind of this message was, break this rock open. Okay. So I broke this rock open, and inside the rock, I kid you not, and I took a picture, and I'll send you the picture. It's kind of hard to make this out, but I took a picture. It was about 3/4 of the symbol. Okay, so it was the symbol that I saw, this Indalo symbol inside this rock, and I said, "Okay, that's when it happens 3 times. I'm taking it as a
No
sign."
coincidence. Yeah.
Yes. So hence I got
Oh, that is awesome, Rye.
yes. So what it is it's a person with their arms outstretched holding a rainbow, which is the rainbow bridge connecting this world from that. This is a spirit walker who can walk on both sides of the world, on each of these worlds. Okay?
That's awesome.
So, yeah, so
When did you
that
get that?
when, sorry?
When did you get that?
I got that a long time ago. So that
I don't
was
think you've ever shown that to me
never,
before.
never.
Yeah.
I've never told anybody the story. Okay. So
Well,
you're the
broken right here on the 412. Thanks for
yeah.
sharing that.
So this
That's very powerful, Rye.
it
I
is. It was very powerful. And now I just learned, and when I'm saying I just learned yesterday that there was another person in the Bible who was a spirit walker who walked on both sides. He was the go-to person between heaven and earth. And that was Enoch. Okay. And I'm not saying I'm Enoch or anything like that, but I'm just saying I think I have a sort of a connection, and I something I need to look into a little bit deeper into that.
I agree. And obviously you know better than I do. There's people out there that you can talk to and
Yep.
that will definitely be able to read you and give you more information. And as I know there are a couple experiences coming up in this Ry Voss Codega's pipeline that are gonna give more of an idea that you definitely show more signs of being able to walk in between both.
Yeah, so that one we're gonna leave that one for the very that'll be the last one, but
Okay.
I'm gonna give you 2 more, okay?
Okay.
And I'm gonna jump ahead in time on this one. So I'm gonna go to this one that was somewhat recent. This was about 2 years ago in this house that we're on here, and I was and this is a key thing is that I was on the phone with someone, and, I because I did that with the first one as well. So I was calling a friend, and as I was about to make this phone call, I was gonna sit on the patio on we have like a three-story house, and we have like this big patio up top in the house. And as I was walking out, I just got again like these messages, and I was just like, you need to look at this part of the sky. And I'm like, okay. So I'm on the phone talking with them, and in the sky, I start seeing a light coming towards me. And I'm like, well, could be a plane, right? But you don't want to jump to conclusions. It could be a plane. And so as it's coming towards me, it separates into two lights. Okay. So these two lights separate and they kind of do this. And I'm talking on the phone and I start telling my friend, like, this is what I'm seeing. And then they separate, do kind of an almond maneuver, swing back to each other, get brighter, extremely brighter, and then disappear. Okay, just like they just like blink out of existence. Then about 30 seconds later, in that exact spot of space that I'm staring at, is a small little shooting star, just like this. And that is it, nothing else. But it was kind of what was strange though is shooting stars are usually coming down. This was kind of going in an upward direction.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So
wild.
that was just a small little thing, and it's like, okay, that was definitely an unidentified flying object. What exactly it was, I don't know, but it
Was it
wasn't
energy that's left over from what just occurred, or was it something leaving a portal and going up?
exactly. That's it, exactly. So I don't know. So now I'm going to rewind. Okay, so that was probably like 2023, maybe 2024, early 2024. So now I'm going to no, that was about 2023. So I'm going to rewind now to 2014. Okay. I am at a grocery store in northern Mexico in the state of Chihuahua, the city of Chihuahua. I'm in this and I come out, got my standing in the parking lot, and again, something's just look up. So I look up and floating above me, and I can't tell you the height wise because I don't know. When you're looking up into a vastness, you can't really tell the height because I've never seen this object before. I can't tell you. Well, what it was, and this is going to sound so strange. People are like, "Oh, there's a cloud." It was a cloud. It was a cloud, everyone. It was a cloud. Okay, but this cloud was rapidly changing shape. Okay, and moving erratically. When I mean erratically, it was changing shape and like morphing and modulating and just like undulating, just kept changing and changing, and it would move off to the left, to move off to the right, go up, come down, just move all around. And I saw a video recently, I would say about 4 years ago online, about a plasma cloud. Someone called it a plasma cloud, and it was identical to this, except the one that I saw was much more. That one was much more kind of like uh, semi-transparent. This was solid. This was solid, and it was moving all around. And I was like, "What the hell is this thing?" So I try using my phone. I had at that time I had a Samsung Galaxy S3. Okay, so that was not the best type of phone. I'm trying to video it. It's nothing. I can't see it. Then I look off in the distance and I see these two triangular black craft. Okay. And they're on an intercept course for one another. So they're kind of coming in at a point like this. And this is way off in the distance. This is far away.
This is not
And
they're not coming towards that plasma.
no, no, but this plasma cloud is right up almost right above me. But these are way off in the left type of horizon, I would say.
Is there anyone around you looking at
There is
this?
there is people, this is a grocery store parking lot, probably like 12, like noon. People are going about around their day, and I'm standing there
You're
fixated
the
looking up at
only
them.
one that
I'm
sees this.
I'm the only one that sees this, and people are just going on around their like nothing is happening, and I'm stuck here looking at all this. And then I see these two craft coming together, and at that point, because I can't video it, I call my wife, and I'm on the phone again. So I'm describing what I see to my wife. Like, this is the thing, and there's these two craft coming together, these two like black triangles, and I'm like, what is going on? So I'm like looking back and forth because you can't keep your eye on both of them. So it's like one or the other. And so I miss the point where these two black crafts intersect
Oh,
when they, because when they do, like, again, I have to make an assumption because I didn't see it. There's just one. There was just one, and then it made its way across the horizon, nice and slow. And at this point, then about a minute later, this plasma cloud disappears. It's gone, completely gone from the sky. Okay. And then I watch this craft fly across the horizon. It wasn't flying at an extremely fast speed. It was just leisurely going across. Now, like I said, so it was two triangular, they were small, small craft. And then they joined, I'm assuming they joined into one, flew across the horizon. Yes.
I was just gonna ask, did it look bigger?
I would say it looked the same size. It looked
Because
the
I was wondering
exact
if
same
they
size.
joined.
Joined and made they looked the same size. And so this whole incident was about 13 minutes. Okay.
Oh
So it
my
wasn't,
god.
yeah, it wasn't like a seconds. No, I had a lot of time. I'm standing in the freaking parking lot watching all this.
Your head has exploded 10 times by then.
Exactly. So at that point, once it's all gone and I can't see this anymore, I went home, got my really good camera, took pictures of the area that I was in, and documented, like drew on the pictures where they were and the horizon they went through. So I have like as best as I can my own personal documentation. There's no pictures of any of the UFOs, but it's pictures of what they did and how they moved.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I did like this huge panoramic picture for the one that those two that joined into one and flew across, and then for just one picture up above where this plasma type of cloud entity thing flew above me.
Wow. That's awesome. And
Yeah,
if you can get those to me, if you know where they are,
I have them. Of course, of course. I'll send them to you
please,
so you can put them on. So everyone take a look at these pictures.
they will see them for sure.
Yeah, I will definitely send them to you. Now, so that's going to take us to this, and like I'm not going to say like I've only had like these experiences. I've had numerous experiences with things that I see, things that have happened. But I'm just going to go to the coup d'état, like this big
Can
incident. Yep,
before you do, can you talk let them know about your missing time event with your dog?
with my dog.
You took remember you told me you took your dog to the park, that circular area, and it was like you were gone for like 2 hours or something like that?
I don't remember.
Remember you said you went to the park, it was like a circular area, you
Okay, okay. Yeah, not missing time. This wasn't missing time. Okay,
okay,
this was glitch. That's why I was like, I haven't had missing time that I know of. This was like a glitch in the matrix. Okay,
okay.
so this happened. Um, we'll say February of last year, February or
Yeah, I
March
was gonna
last
say a
year.
year ago.
Yeah, and I, yeah, we, you and her. I told you all about this. I think I even might have messaged you. I'm not sure. I
You
messaged you
did
on
when
the
it
chat.
happened. You
Yeah,
called me on the phone, I think, right when it happened.
yeah. So I was walking my dog. I walked through this park. It's a square park, and in the middle, and it's not big. In the middle is a gazebo. There's a kind of like a round sidewalk that kind of goes circles this whole gazebo, and in each corner there's an exit. Okay, so each corner has an exit, and it's not big. It's maybe like, I don't know, maybe like, I'm gonna guess like 70 or 100 feet wide. Like each length is like, we'll say 100 foot, 100 foot by 100 foot by 100 foot. Okay. And so I walk in on the one corner and I walk diagonally around and go out the opposite corner to it. Okay. So kind of like come in the one corner, miss the don't go to the first exit, take the second exit, leave. Now, everything's fine. I'm coming back, okay? So I come back through the through the exit that I exited, but I enter into it and I walk around to, I don't make it to the first exit because I want to make it to the second exit, but I don't even make it to the first exit. I sit down on a park bench. Behind me is a propane truck, and I just use this as a, like, it's like an anchor point. So behind me is a propane truck filling up the propane of this hotel, this small little boutique hotel is behind me, and I sit on my phone and I'm like going on my TikTok and just wasting some time. My dog is sitting by me, and off just past the first exit is some people sitting there and talking. And so I you kind of like glancing around. It's not a big park. I'm like, okay, there's some people talking there. And I'm like, okay, well, I should go. So I get up and I'm watching my dog because she's fairly young. She's maybe 4 months old. So I got to keep my eye on her. And so out of my periphery, I can see the exits and I can still hear the propane truck. And it's kind of like it's giving me that anchor point of where it was. So I walk past the first exit. And I'm going to the second exit, and I see the people of the periphery of my eyes that they're sitting there talking. So I go to the second exit, and I'm walking out, and I'm kind of looking at my dog. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm looking at my dog, and I look up and I lose almost my balance. I get extremely dizzy. I I become very weak in the knees. My stomach is like nauseous, and I'm no longer at the exit that I'm at. I'm at the next one. I'm at the third exit. Okay. So I've come in, we'll say I come in on the one, I don't take the first exit. I want to take the second exit. And that's where I'm walking. I know that I'm walking there. But magically, I'm at the third exit. I'm staring at the sign about this church. Okay. I'm staring about the sign about this church, and church is right there. And like the anchor point of that truck with the that's filling up the propane, like I know where that is. I know where that is. So I know where I should be, but I'm not there anymore. And the people that were talking loudly are now moved as well. They're no longer, like, I sat on the park bench and I was sitting on this park bench and I knew where they were. They're no longer there anymore. They have now moved to the other location. They moved like a quadrant as well. It was like we all shifted one quadrant. And I am disorientated. And like I said, nauseous. My knees are like shaky. I'm dizzy. I'm like, what just happened? Something just happened. I have no
You
idea.
call I remember you called me.
Yes, I have no idea what happened. Was there missing time? I don't think so, but it was like instantaneous, like poof, you're no longer there. You're this one. It was like I got put like instantaneously transported to another location, just 100 feet away, standing at the wrong exit.
Almost like you all were on a clock, on the arm of a clock, and you were moved
And
on
it
the
just
arm of a clock.
shifted. It's
Yeah,
exactly, yeah, it was like everything just shifted on the inside and the outside stayed the same. Like the outside stayed solid and we shifted on the inside. Exactly.
Wow, that's wild. I remember, I'll never forget it. As
Yeah.
I'm glad the specifics were a little hazy in my
No,
mind,
no
but
problem, no problem. Yeah,
yeah,
thanks.
that was
Yeah, I was, like,
wild.
trying to remember which one you're talking about. Yes, yeah, that was fairly recent, so that was very intense and very crazy.
And then now please to the coup de grace.
Okay, so this incident is one that I haven't been afraid of many things. Like, that one, I was, like, freaked out, right? I wasn't scared or anything like that. I was like, "Okay, that's interesting." I would say this one kind of made me a little bit afraid, okay? And now what had happened is I was going to a local grocery store. I pulled up to this local grocery store and it's small. This one's a small grocery store and I needed to go in to get some bacon and some ham and cheese or some bacon and cheese and into the deli which is in the very back. As I pull up, something starts happening to my vision. And this can be explained away as what is called a ocular migraine. Okay. And I'm willing to accept, okay, maybe that was an ocular migraine. An ocular migraine is when you start to see these strange colors floating around, like rainbowy, kind of crystally kind of colors. Kind of what happened to me. But what really happened was I started seeing these lines, these two lines, these triangular lines. Okay. So it was one was going up from the left to the right and it was getting bigger and the other one was from the left to the right and it was going downwards. So one was going upwards, one was going downwards, and they were very very intense colors, like if you stared at the sun for too long and then you looked around and you got like these tracers, like these really really bright kind of like what you think is still the sun, kind of like looking, that is what these lines look like, and they were like rolling, they were moving. Perhaps, if I imagine what plasma is, I know I talked about a plasma cloud, but if I
Mhm.
said, "Well, this is what plasma is," that is what I would think it would be. Okay? It was just and it was changing colors. It was changing from like these oranges to these like greens, really intense, intense. Nothing dark, really intense, like pinks and yellows, just kind of just rolling and just modulating. Okay? And this is just starting, and I'm like, "What is going on? What do I do?" And I'm kind of I never really said this to anybody, but I kind of was like sick to my stomach because it's really messing with my eyes. And I'm like, okay, this is not cool. But hey, I'm here at the store. I need to get my deli. I need to go. I mean, I need to get my bacon and my cheese. So I walk into the store and my vision is completely obscured by this. Like I'm barely able to see. I can see maybe like 50% out of my left eye. I can see more. On my right eye, it's kind of clouded and whatnot. Like I'm just assuming. So I walk in and I'm waiting in line because there's about three people in this line, and I'm like, it starts to get more and more intense, and it's opening up, and I'm like, what is going on? So I'm like, well, let me check my vision, and so I close one eye, and I can still see it. I can still see everything. I close the other eye, and I can still see everything. So I don't know what to do at that point, and that's when I started to see something more. I started to see something beyond, inside this triangular rip, okay? So, like I said, it formed into this I'm calling it a rip now. It formed like this triangular type of rip in front of me, and now I can see through it. Its shapes and things have formed clear enough that it's clear as day, okay? So, what I see, I'm going to describe this. I am standing inside a warehouse. Okay. Like, even though I'm not inside of it, I can see through this, and there's a warehouse. On the left hand side, I can definitely see the wall. I can see a partial roof going up. The the other roof where it was coming down is gone. It's ripped off. Okay. The ground is strewn with rubble from possibly broken down walls of this warehouse that no longer are there, that blown out or just have crumbled and down. Now, this rubble that's on the ground it's not like sharp rocks. It looks like it's been not sharp like rubble. It looks like it's been weathered for
I
quite
was
some
just
time.
gonna
So
say weathered.
exactly. So they're kind of roundish a bit, not like round like you would get in a river, but they've rounded off any of the sharp edges. Now, everything everything that I see is shades of brown, of rusty brown. Okay. Everything like almost a sepia. I would say sepia, but darker. Okay, more of like sepia is more of like this lighter brown, yellowish brown. This is more of a reddish brown, like
Mhm.
rust brown. Now I can see the sky because part of that roof is gone, right? I can see the sky. The sky is whitish clouds with this reddish tinge to it as well. And the clouds are kind of like racing by. They're not moving extremely fast, but they're moving at a good speed. They're clocking in. Now, off in the distance, I see what I'm going to describe as large industrial sized fans. Okay, maybe like you would have maybe extraction fans in a warehouse or in a factory of sorts. Now these fans, there is some of them are a one fan, and they're encased in a box, so it's like a box fan, but it's the big round blades, and there is like a not like a fine wire mesh, but there's like wires in front of it, like bars in front of it, of each one of these fans, the fan blades. Now, some of them are singular, some are doubled up, meaning one stacked on top of the other. There might be in total maybe anywhere between one, two, three, four, 8 or 9 of these big fans, and they're off in the distance. If I had to estimate, maybe 150 feet away, 100 feet away, and now they're moving in a counterclockwise manner. Okay, so they're moving counterclockwise. Now, this is important to me because counterclockwise represents contrary. Okay, it means so contrary means that, and I was going to go clockwise, but they're moving in a counterclockwise manner. Contrary means, and this is important in the native folklore. This is what I was always taught with my 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 teacher, the oh my gosh, the medicine woman, sleeping buffalo woman is what her name was. So she taught me that, everything we do, everything clockwise. It's important to do everything clockwise. But for me, actually, I would always subconsciously do things counterclockwise. She would always call me the contrarian because I shouldn't be doing that, but I would always, you pass things when you're passing tobacco, you're passing the pipe. I would always kind of like go to pass it in the contrarian way, or I would go to
That's
sit down.
really
I would go in the
interesting.
So these big metal fans were slowly moving, not fast. They were
Almost
just
like the air itself was moving the fans.
yes, exactly, exactly. But they were all just moving. None were stopped. They're all moving in a counterclockwise manner. Yep.
Can I ask you, so you've gone now from holy shit, excuse my language, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm having, I'm having a brain tumor is just starting
Yes.
to affect me. I might be having a stroke. I'm going to start smelling burnt toast any minute to now I'm staring at another dimension. And does anybody else see this? Or is anybody looking at me staring in the distance? No one's looking at you. You had people in front of you or
People in
anything.
front of me, and then I go, and I'm like trying to still go about my regular business because I don't want to seem like I'm nuts, and no one else is seeing this. So I order my bacon, I order my cheese, and I'm still seeing this. And I'm like, I kind of like trying to look around, but as I'm moving now, what I'm seeing is moving with me. Okay. So anywhere I move, this stays with me. It's not like I'm at a fixed point in the vision of what I'm seeing, but I can look around in this world and everything can still be there. Like this world could be described as post-apocalyptic. Um, I was listening to one of Tony Merkel's episodes where he interviewed someone who saw through a portal. Okay, this person describes somewhat similar type of world that I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said he saw, like, this desolate area, post-apocalyptic, with a gnarled tree, like a twisted, gnarly tree, okay? Now this and I'm gonna tell you what I think this is after I finish this. So I go and I pay for my stuff, and I get in the car, and I'm like, "What do I do?" I'm about a Mexican block and a half away, which is like a little less than an actual block away from my house. And I'm like, I need to go home. So I drove home. I'm kind of like looking around because if I can look out this way, I can kind of see a little bit. I can't see pretty much anything on this side, on the right hand side, because that's where the largest opening of that vision is. So I park my car, and I'm still seeing all this. Nothing's really changing other than, I still see this rubble, I still see the sky, everything. I park the car. I go into the house. I go upstairs to the bedroom, and I just tell my wife, I got a headache, even though I didn't really have a headache. I said, I got a headache. I need to lie down. So I laid down, and then I prayed. And I don't want to see this anymore. I don't need, I can't see this anymore. I'm afraid something's happening to me. Something's wrong with me. And about I'd say less than 2 minutes, could have been even a minute. It was gone. Everything was gone. I could see clearly nothing there anymore. And so that was messed up. That was me seeing something that actually terrified me again, to this point where I haven't been terrified for a long time, but seeing everything that I've seen, that scared me.
I can't imagine. First of all, that is absolutely mind blowing. Just I remember when you told me about it, if not the day it happened, but like the day after.
Yeah.
That was another one you told me like right after it happened. And we talked for a long time, and I asked you the same questions I'm saying now, because I'm sure everybody that's watching this is
Mhm.
saying the same thing. Hey, what about this? What about that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Now,
right. You absolutely, without a doubt, that tattoo was for sure just perfect for you. You are just like some of us, others that have, for whatever reason, are sensitives and, some more than others. You are for sure more than others walking, in and out between, and you have an ability to see more than even most sensitives. You told me that you also spoke to somebody um, that wrote a book or something like that
yeah.
that had
So
something similar.
Paul Stobbs, who wrote the book, The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, he had a similar dream vision of a hat man in this world that was identical to what I described. When I said this, and he was just like, I've seen this place." He says, "I've seen this," and he saw this hat man walking in this world, and he saw like a sign hanging from that was broken, so it was like hanging from a chain. Instead of having two chains, one of the chains was broken. It was hanging there. It was creaking in the wind, flying back and forth. But he said that it was identical. And then I just talked to someone from another podcast called The Occult Rejects, and he he was speechless because he's like, "I've seen this place too," and he described it as a sepia place. So
That's
and
interesting.
yes, and so he saw like creatures in there. He saw like I think like a cobra and a scorpion as well. So I need to talk to him a little bit further about that because I want to collect these and I want to know more about this place. But I believe I know what this place is.
What now? I was just gonna say, I was just having a very tiny, weird vision as you were talking about this
Mhm.
place, and it kind of just freaked me out when you said this last guy said he saw a cobra. Because did you ever see the movie Inner Space with David Quaid?
I
Did you
have many
see
years.
the cobra creature in that movie?
No, I did not.
There is a guy that is able to go in the inner space like David Quaid does, and it's kinda
Okay.
like his evil, like, nemesis. He
Yeah.
turns into this there's a little boy in the movie, if you can remember a little boy he helps. Well, he's horrified of this snake man, he calls him. Well, this guy turns into this
Oh,
snake man, and, in my head, when you were talking before that you mentioned that guy saying a Cobra Man, I saw this being, the Cobra Man from
yeah.
inner space in this inner space world, which is a sepia colored kind of
Jeez.
reddish color in inner space. It
Yes.
popped in my head, and then 2 seconds later, you mentioned the Cobra. That's so freaky. Now,
Got it.
I'm gonna tell you what I think. I think that sounds
Mhm.
like another Earth from a parallel Earth that had like a apocalypse, and they have radiation everywhere, and those fans are meant to blow the radiation out or something like that. That's my thought.
Oh, so post-apocalyptic is a possibility, and there's no wrong answer in us trying to speculate what
Right,
this
right.
is. What I believe this is that I did see into another dimension, another world, but I believe that this is the world that's inhabited by disembodied spirits,
That's
okay?
excellent.
Okay. And so disembodied spirits, for those who don't know, or AKA demons, is the spirits of the dead Nephilim. Okay. So when the Nephilim die, they were cursed to roam the lands where they would be hungry, but not be able to satisfy their hunger. They would thirst, but not able to quench that thirst. Okay. So they were cursed to roam these lands. So that's why possessions happen, is because they wanted to get out of this world. And this is the world that I believe they're cursed to. They want to get out of this world. They possess us so that they can satisfy their hunger. They can quench their thirst. They can partake of our worldly goods and everything else that it has to offer, and see these beautiful skies. That I believe, and I believe there is far more possessions than we'll ever know.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
there's so much, and there's such fine, very small possessions that you don't even know. Like,
No,
and like there's the full on really harsh demons,
I think a
with like
lot of them.
exorcists.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say real quick, first, you thought about it. I agree with you 100% because I wasn't thinking about when I said post-apocalyptic. I think that's part of like the kind of world, but I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking that these beings were there. I just wasn't thinking about them when I made that comment. I agree with you 100%. But what I was gonna say too was uh-oh, mine stopped. What was the last thing we just said?
The post-apocalyptic world, the Nephilim, possession.
Oh, with possessions, and that's an edit I'll fix. I believe truly most of these people, and you hear their family and friends saying, I could not believe they were not a person. You could never believe they would go and kill all those people. A
Mhm.
lot of these people that go on these crazy just sprees of murdering people and shooting people. Not all of them. I think some of them are just born crazy,
Yeah.
but I think some of them, because they say that they were my baby, they were normal. What I think some of them got taken over by demons and were just killed people.
I believe that is quite a high possibility. I believe MK Ultra is tied into that as well, but I think they can. Why can it not be both? But yeah, Matt, those are the experiences that I've had, and from
Wow.
the more I learn, the more I think I have more information to put to it. Do I really know the truth? No, I don't. It's all speculation. We are all gonna have speculation. I'm believing what I've saw is what this is. But again, there's no proof. It's just my own gut feeling, speculation of what it is, and if anybody listening or watching, if you guys have any of these experiences similar to what I've said of seeing this sepia rust colored world, reach out to Matt or write it in the comments. Say, yeah, I had this or I had that. And, by all means, reach out to me and we can, I'm trying to collect all these stories to put them together to try to see what this world is, like a little bit here, a little bit here. Okay, we have this information, and putting in this all together. What's it going to accomplish? I don't know. Maybe an answer or two. But the only thing is when I get an answer or two, then there's like 5 or 10 more questions added onto it. So it's about discovery. It's about trying to figure out who we really are and what we're all really capable of.
You know what, Rye, though? But even though obviously you and I always say we're not experts, there's a lot more people out
Oh,
there that know more than us. But you know what? When we first started, we didn't know what we know now.
I
We know
agree.
a heck of a lot more. And I know a heck of a lot more about what happened to me when I was 14 and those beings, and I know a lot more about high strangeness and other stuff. You know a lot of great stuff we've not even mentioned here tonight. I come to you, and I'll be coming to you when we do that awesome night when I go to that specific
Yes,
place,
looking forward to
and
that.
that's 100% going to happen, where I'm going to go with a few people. And I've mentioned it here before, guys. It's a secret. I'm going to go to a place that Ry is going to man the computer and
Man, the home
this
base.
man
Yeah.
the home base and take care of us. And me and some other unlucky people are going to be going to some of the most horrifying places out there. And the first place we're going to do it is amazing and incredible. And Stacy does not want me to go still, but
Stay
I'm going to
tuned.
go. And
Yes.
one of the things, the point I'm getting to is I'm gonna come to you and BJ LaPierre and have you guys help me protect myself. And I'm gonna go to my priest and bring holy water and just make sure I don't have somebody jump on and
Mhm.
hitchhike back. I do not want that to happen. But you're somebody I trust wholeheartedly. You're one of my very greatest friends in the world. So of course I trust you. Um,
Appreciate that
and of
a lot,
course, man,
and
you're
the
my
feeling's
brother.
mutual. The feeling is mutual, my friend.
Thank you. And I have, as we both grow here and as, I know as I grow, I'm gonna get my my population, my people here on the 412. I said before, I'm saying it again, as it grows, I'm gonna take some list of places that as my people want me to go visit, and you guys can send me there. One of the places that I know I'm gonna go visit is with you. I'm gonna have them send me to see you. We're gonna go
Yes.
and check some scary places out in your neck of the woods. So,
Exactly.
Rye, do me a favor. And again, more than anything, thank you so much for coming, man. I've been really looking forward for you coming on here and us talking
My
about it.
pleasure.
It's an honor. I mean, I love you. You're my brother, your family, but this was something that I have really been wanting to do personally, and I'm glad I asked you and you said yes. Let everybody know, what's going on with Codega's Codex of Curiosities and anything else you'd like to mention.
Yeah, of course, of course. I really appreciate that, Matt. And so, if anybody is interested in my show, it's on YouTube, it's on Rumble, it's on all the audio channels, Apple, Spotify, and I interview people who've had high strange experiences, just like Matt. I've interviewed you a couple of times, which has been fantastic. I also interview people who've done research on some really crazy, interesting stuff, such as when I mentioned Enoch, what I said, oh, I just found out something yesterday. I just interviewed someone who's written a book about the Book of Enoch, an antediluvian account. So that is coming out. I dive into the Nephilim a lot as well. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, or just hit me up, and that's about it.
Well, I love Codega's Codex of Curiosities, other than he's my good friend. He has a great channel, everybody. I'm telling you right now, if you have not gone over to his channel, I want you all to go over there, smash that button, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell, make sure it's set to always, and check out all his stuff. If you don't want to watch the actual videos, like he said, he's on just the audio. You can drive in the car and put the audio on and just listen to that. I'm going to be doing exactly that soon. Rye talked
I've been,
me
yeah. I'm like, come on, Matt, you got to get onto the
I'm
audio.
gonna
Just
get
put them
all
on the
stuff
audio.
turned to just audio, just like Rye. And just to let everybody know, I'm also this close tonight. I'm gonna finish the merch. I'm right there, and Rye talked me into just throw on what I have set up and just throw it on there. So I will.
Yeah,
So it's coming. But dude, thank you, brother. I know you got to get going. I really appreciate you being on, and
I
this
did
is going to
too.
be a great video. People are going to love it, I'm sure.
I appreciate that, Matt, a lot. Thank you so much for having me on, and shout out to Planet 412. You got a fantastic show, and you're a fantastic host as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Big time. Hold off back in the green room. I'll see you in a second. Wow, everybody. That was an awesome show. Rye is amazing. I mean, first of all, he's just amazing on his show. The guy is just an ultimate professional. He speaks so well. He's so intelligent in what he does. But then you get that high strangeness that runs through his family tree. And he's so great about how he's able to discuss things. And then he's just an amazing interviewer. If you haven't gone over and saw it, like I said, I really mean it, guys. If you like interviews, that really get into the cerebral part of things and the high strangeness and really great questions, he has authors on there aside from high strangeness and the freaky and supernatural and paranormal cryptids. That's all there. But he has really intelligent guests on there, like I said, authors and other great guests. Get over there, check them out, subscribe, help my brother out. Great things coming up on the 412, guys. I know I've told you about some new stuff coming out. It's coming soon, I promise. And thank you for coming on over. I love you guys. Thanks for being here on the 412. We'll see you soon, guys, for sure. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it greatly helps out the channel. I'll see you next time on Planet 412. Hey, Planet 412. 2025 is going to be gigantic for the 412. All kinds of new formats and huge things are in store. What am I talking about? You'll find out. But one thing's going to happen for sure. This guy's going to be in a new documentary on ETS, Exposing the Strange, directed by David Wolf. Well, David Wolf was just on a live stream not too long ago on Planet 412. You guys probably saw it. If you haven't, check it out.
What do you think dogman is? Do you think it's supernatural or flesh and blood?
That's a slippery slope for some people. So with my experience, I 100% believe that it was supernatural.
We just heard a rock clack right over here.